Good morning, club members. We digest world-class journalism and talk it through in plain English. Here are 5 stories worth your time. Defence companies showed off sleek, pilotless fighter jets at the Farnborough Air Show last month. Prominent designs with names like Ghost Bat and Valkyrie dominated the ground displays. These are not cheap, single-use drones like the ones flying over Ukraine. They are large, jet-powered craft known as collaborative combat aircraft. These autonomous drones fly alongside crewed fighter jets or patrol on their own. Some models act as sentinels, constantly scanning the skies for incoming hostile threats. They carry heavy weapons and can strike immediately because they are already airborne. This development will fundamentally change how human pilots operate during battle. A fighter pilot will act more like a mission commander supervising network data. The human pilot directs robotic teammates rather than aiming every missile manually. Future fighters will rely on stealth and computational power instead of speed alone. Yet building these high-technology machines comes with an extraordinary financial cost. A single next-generation crewed jet could cost $300 million. An accompanying fleet drone can add another $40 million per unit. Military analysts believe only the United States and China can afford entire fleets. That stark math leaves middle powers with difficult choices for their defense spending. Middle-tier nations must find ways to stay competitive without exhausting national budgets. Some governments will upgrade older jets like the Eurofighter Typhoon with advanced radar. Others are forming international partnerships to split the massive development bills. Britain, Italy and Japan have joined forces to create a new shared fighter jet. Meanwhile, other European projects struggle to reach consensus on shared jet designs. Britain is also committing £15 billion to build affordable autonomous mass. That plan focuses on cheaper aerial drones and robotic naval vessels. These military commitments will lock countries into strategic alliances for decades. Future air warfare is rapidly turning into a contest of software, sensors, and machine volume. Yet military commanders still face one unanswered question. No nation knows if artificial intelligence can truly replace human judgment during chaotic battles. For our second topic today, we turn from high-tech combat jets to secret oil tankers. Lawmakers in the US Congress have introduced an ambitious bipartisan bill to hit Russia hard. This new proposal aims to choke off the primary source of cash for the Kremlin. That cash comes directly from exports of oil and natural gas. Previous Western sanctions did slow down Russian revenue for a while. However, Moscow soon found clever workarounds to keep the money flowing. It built up a shadow fleet, using older tankers with hidden owners. These ships move Russian crude oil across the world while ignoring Western price limits. Sometimes they even wash the oil by passing it through Middle Eastern ports. The new American proposal wants to end these sneaky moves for good. First, it places direct sanctions on every Russian company exporting fossil fuels. That includes energy producers, project developers, and the banks behind them. Second, it cracks down on the shadow fleet without showing any mercy. Anyone who trades with these ships will face severe American financial penalties. Third, the bill introduces targeted tariffs on countries that still buy Russian energy. That warning should stop most potential buyers right in their tracks. You might wonder if these strict measures will drive up global fuel prices. If less oil reaches the market, prices usually jump up very quickly. Yet energy analysts believe global oil prices will hardly move at all. The reason comes down to the basic cost of pumping Russian crude. In western Siberia, Russia extracts a barrel of oil for about $15. Because the Kremlin desperately needs foreign cash, it will keep pumping. As long as Russia earns even a few dollars per barrel, the oil keeps flowing, so the total amount of oil on global markets will stay roughly the same. The real blow lands on the price Russia actually gets to keep. Foreign buyers will demand massive discounts before accepting Russian energy shipments. Those forced discounts will drastically reduce the cash flowing into Moscow. With less money coming in, Russia will struggle to buy foreign electronics for its military. High inflation and interest rates are already eating away at the Russian economy. Depriving the Kremlin of oil revenue adds tremendous pressure at a critical moment. It hurts the Russian war machine while protecting household fuel bills in the West. The big uncertainty now is whether Congress can pass this legislation into law soon. Turning from shadow fleets to our third story today, we look at experimental medical treatments. A family in China had a 6-year-old daughter with a rare genetic condition. A tiny defect in a single gene was slowing down her brain development. The condition was not fatal, but her parents were desperate to find a cure. Through a support group, they contacted a prominent scientist at a Shanghai university. He ran his own startup company and held patents for gene treatments. The scientist offered to build a custom therapy tailored specifically for their daughter. He told the family that this treatment would be a world first. Her parents managed to raise $860,000 to pay for it. The procedure used a technique called base editing to alter a single letter of DNA. Trillions of modified viruses carried the new genetic instructions directly into her spinal fluid. Just 3 days after the injection, the 6-year-old girl developed a severe fever. Her kidneys quickly shut down, and she died within a week of receiving the treatment. Doctors confirmed that her death was caused by a catastrophic immune reaction to the therapy. A recent joint investigation has now revealed alarming details about what happened behind closed doors. Earlier animal tests on monkeys had already shown signs of severe liver and kidney damage. Several medical experts questioned whether those animal results justified trying the drug on humans. Furthermore, the child's family claims they recorded all their discussions with the lead scientist. They allege that he never warned them that death was a possible risk. Nor did he mention the troubling safety issues flagged during the earlier animal trials. Regulators and ethics boards in China also failed to provide enough oversight to avert this tragedy. In a bizarre twist, the research team later published a paper in a major academic journal. The paper described their animal experiments, but completely hid the human trial and the child's death. Journal editors were shocked to learn about the unreported human trial from investigative journalists. They are now running a formal investigation and considering editorial sanctions against the authors. This tragic case raises heavy ethical warnings for the rapidly growing biotechnology sector. China has been striving to become a dominant global power in medical research. However, true progress requires honesty about mistakes alongside successes. When scientific ambition outpaces regulation, vulnerable families end up paying a devastating price. For our fourth story today, we turn from gene editing to global politics. A quiet shift in the South Caucasus is reshaping the map for Russia and Iran. For decades, Moscow treated the small Republic of Armenia as its secure backyard. Iran also counted on Armenia to keep Western rivals away from its northern border. But that long arrangement has suddenly fallen apart. Voters in Armenia recently re-elected Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan in a major national vote. His party won nearly 50% of the vote and secured 64 parliamentary seats. That result was a clear rejection of political candidates backed by the Russian government. Voters chose instead to build closer economic and security ties with Western nations. Armenia is now working toward a permanent peace agreement with its neighbour Azerbaijan. To finalise that treaty, Armenia may soon hold a referendum to update its constitution. A new constitution could formally remove old territorial claims and smooth over past conflicts. That step is essential if both nations want to sign a lasting treaty. Moscow is trying hard to block those changes, but its local influence is weakening. The ongoing war in Ukraine has drained Russian military resources and distracted its leaders. As a result, Russia can no longer act as the main security provider there. That withdrawal leaves Iran in a very difficult strategic position. Tehran relies heavily on Russian strength to keep its northern flank stable. Now that protective Russian shield is rapidly disappearing. Countries like Turkey and the United States are expanding their footprint across the area. Wealthy Arab Gulf states are also looking to invest in new regional trade routes. These economic investments offer Armenia new trade partners outside of Russian control. Pressure on Iran escalated even further north just a few days ago. On July 31st, a Ukrainian strike hit an Iranian vessel in the Caspian Sea. That sea was long viewed as a safe corridor for military supplies between allies. The strike proved that the war in Ukraine can directly reach Iranian logistics. Iran now faces severe tension on its southern border while losing its northern buffer. Government officials in Washington are watching this shift with great interest. They see a rare opportunity to solidify Western presence in a key region. Yet the path forward for Armenia remains full of risk. Russian leaders will not accept losing their grip without attempting to push back. The coming months will show whether Armenia can stay on its new course. Finally, we turn to South Korea for our fifth and final story today. A sudden boom in artificial intelligence is filling the country with extraordinary new wealth. South Korea does not create the famous software models making headlines. Instead, its companies manufacture the high-bandwidth memory chips essential for running those models. Officials in Seoul often describe these factories as selling picks and shovels in a gold rush. While gold miners take big risks, the tool makers are already earning enormous profits. Operating profits at major firms have jumped by hundreds of % in recent months. That windfall is flowing directly into worker pay packets in dramatic fashion. One major firm agreed to set aside 10% of its operating profit for bonuses. Some factory engineers are taking home annual bonuses exceeding $400,000. That is 10 times the average national salary in South Korea. These highly paid engineers are now known as the Silicon Collar class. Marriage agencies report that these tech workers are now sought after like top doctors. Comedy shows even joke about shoppers flashing company jackets to impress luxury store staff. Yet this sudden prosperity has not reached most of the country. Away from the semiconductor hubs, ordinary high street consumption remains surprisingly quiet. Millions of retail investors poured money into local stocks to claim a slice of the pie. But the stock market became extremely volatile and dropped sharply last month. That tumble left many ordinary families with painful financial losses. This stark contrast is forcing policymakers to rethink national economics. The most direct public benefit will come through state tax collection. Tax receipts from just 2 major chip makers could rival total corporate taxes from previous years. Overall government revenues are expected to hit record levels next year. Ministers are now debating how to steward this sudden fortune fairly. One presidential advisor suggested distributing a citizen dividend directly to every household. The government has officially announced a new future response fund instead. This state fund will invest excess tax revenues to protect coming generations. Leaders want to build long-term strength before the current chip cycle turns down. Managing such a concentrated windfall presents a novel test for democratic governments. How South Korea handles this boom will offer valuable lessons for the rest of the world. That brings us to the end of today's stories. Thank you for sharing your breakfast with me, and I will see you tomorrow morning.